Then to Kiran, episode 2, Finding Your Person, featuring my husband, Ankush.
Hello.
So, first I want to talk about how I was single for about 2.5 years before I met you. And I met Ankush on a dating show, and that was a cool little story. But when I went on this dating show, I was actually not purposely looking for somebody. I was like kind of open to the idea of seriously dating, but for about 2 years, I was like, I just want to be by myself. I want to learn who I am and what I want. And I really just want to focus on who I'm going to be as a person. One of the things that happened after my last long-term relationship before meeting my husband was somebody told me that when you're alone in your apartment, you're going to feel the loneliest you've ever been because now you're not with the person that you were with or whatever it was. And I remember sitting at home alone in my apartment that night, and I was like, I feel so free. So, Ankush, what do you think finding your person is like?
I think before you find someone else, you got to find yourself.
Ooh, right, this guy.
Right off the get-go, spitting bars. You know it's going to be a good one. But yeah, I mean, I was also in a long-term relationship. Similar length before Kiran. I know.
You dated people before me?
How dare I? But I realized that I myself was not ready to be with anyone. Her experience was moving into an apartment by yourself that first night. Mine was kind of sitting down on my PlayStation alone for the first time thinking, okay, this is the best.
Actually, guys, when I first met Ankush, I wasn't sure if I was ready for a relationship because of everything that I had gone through prior. And I was still trying to find myself, I thought. And I think you're always growing and you're always changing.
Yeah.
I think that if we are not constantly changing, then there's a problem with us. Who I was 5 years ago is nowhere close to who I am today. And who I was 5 years prior to that was not anywhere close to who I was back then.
But what made you give me the shot, though?
I truly felt like everything about you didn't remind me of somebody else. There's nothing about you that reminds me of any of my exes. I think you remind me of myself. I think that the way that I would respond to something or do something is the way you would handle something. Or at least you would do something to complement the way that I would perform or something like that. I actually remember I was quite scared when I first met you of being with somebody long term because my last relationship, I didn't navigate it well. I can say that. I can say that I was also a factor in the breakup.
Ditto.
And I wasn't communicating what I needed anymore because I had given up.
Yeah.
Right before I met you, I didn't think I would be with somebody. I thought that I was happy single, which I was. I was very happy. I was fulfilled. And that turned out to be the best time for me to find a person because I didn't need to be with you, but I truly wanted to be with you. I met you and I was like, I want to have this person in my life. He's that piece that I didn't think I was missing. And that was a big part of why I decided I was ready for a relationship with you because even when we first met, I was hesitant. I was enjoying my life. I was having a good time traveling, hanging out with my cousins, my friends, going out to eat, exploring new places, making friends. And then when I met you, I was like, I want to spend every second of my life with this guy.
Yeah.
And that was scary because I was like, no, I'm a strong, independent woman. And I think the benefit of you and who you were as a person was like, that's a strong, independent woman. She doesn't need a man.
all I was like, yeah, I like a girl that scares me a little. I mean, it's true. Like, I support you. That was one of the biggest things that attracted me to you was your independence.
So you and I command a lot of attention. I think our viewers can see that because who else just starts a podcast for no reason, right?
Well, actually, I feel like a
lot of people actually do that.
Good example.
Before I met you, when I would go out, I would be that extrovert. I'd be that person who's giggling, laughing, having a good time. And when I met you and I saw you in that social setting because we met on set and you were interacting with everybody, one thing that attracted me to you was how you commanded a room. How you would float. You would float from person to person, giggle to giggle. People were laughing. People enjoyed your company. And I was like, wow, I want a man that's going to command the attention of a room. Because I don't want to be responsible for somebody who can't hold their own conversations. You need to be able to hold your own.
I think what's the ironic part of that is that this social awareness that you're describing developed because it was a nervous tick.
Me too.
I was just so bad socially, and I was like, okay, in order to stop this, I just got to get good at talking to people. And
So I actually was an extremely shy child.
Yeah.
Like I was always like standing behind my mom and dad at the party. I wouldn't get on the dance floor. And then one day I kid you not, woke up and I was like, I don't want to be like this anymore.
Yeah.
And I forced myself to speak. I would have forced myself to let loose. And
that sounds like a middle child type thing.
it might be. I don't know.
I'm an only child though, so I grew up a little different.
I am a classic middle child.
Yeah.
I can talk to you for hours upon hours about things that just run through my head constantly because my mind doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm constantly learning about you. Also, you know when like you have a crush on somebody, which you should never have a crush on somebody again, let me just say.
No,
when you have a
absolutely.
crush on somebody
Yep.
and you get those like anxiety butterflies or like they text you and your heart starts racing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I never had that with you. I would have like relief. I would be like, oh, like Ankush is texting me, Ankush is calling me, and I would talk to you and it's almost like a balloon deflating. Like I'm so filled up and I would get very like overwhelmed. But when I would speak to you, I would like, it was just like we were giggling the whole time. And like we spend most of our days just giggling with each other.
Yeah.
Period.
The original point of this, we were trying to talk about like who we were before we met each other, who we became, and then who we are in process of becoming.
Yeah.
Right? Because when we met each other, I think we were both ready.
No, I wasn't ready when I met you. I wasn't ready.
How does that make sense?
I wasn't ready to date when I met you.
But you still went on a dating show.
So it took us months.
Yeah. No,
Like-
we met in June. By August, you were my girlfriend.
Right. So it took like 2 months
yeah.
for me to be like, I'm ready to be in a committed
That's right.
relationship.
Yeah, but you had to be open to it at least.
Of course, I
like, to
was.
go on the show.
I was.
Yeah.
I was open to the potential of like dating somebody.
You weren't open to the fact it was me. You were just open to the fact that
I could date
dating-
somebody, yes.
dating's happening,
But I
yes.
was also in that mind space. I am not going to date somebody seriously unless I could bring them home and say I'm going to marry them.
Yeah.
Because I saw no point. I saw no point in dating somebody just for casual dating.
Yeah, yeah.
If that were the case, then I'm not going to date you, but we could hang out. Like,
Yeah.
we could go and do stuff together. We could be friends. But I don't want to say you're my significant other unless we're dating for a purpose. Like, we were 25, 26 years old. What's the point of dating at that age unless there's somebody you want to marry?
Not everyone dates to get married, but like usually the goal to date.
Right, for
Some
me.
people date to date. Like there's people out
Right. And that's fine. And that's what I would have done. I would have just dated, but I would have never brought you home. I would have never introduced you to my family.
there. That would have been a DL.
I don't know if it would even be DL. You would just be
There.
You would just be there. You would just be T.
Yeah, what does DL stand for?
Down low.
No, but like
Dating
you can't-
on the down
You can't
low.
be down high.
You wouldn't be down high. You'd be up high. Down low, up high.
But you
What's
can't
up
mix
with
and
you?
match. My wit is showing. My wit that won you over has shown. What was the biggest thing that you had to realize in between the 2 months of us dating where you were like, okay, now I'm ready to be with him?
I think I had to get to know you. I had to get to know what kind of person you were and how well we were going to mesh. And truly, if you were going to impede on my freedom. Because remember, before that, being alone was freedom to me. Being able to just go and do whatever I want
So
was free.
what would be an example of impeding your freedom? Like, what could I have done that impeded your freedom within those 2 months?
Let's say I didn't respond to your text message right away. Like maybe it was like 4 or 5 hours I wouldn't respond to you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, what happened? Why didn't you answer my text? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Instead, you would call me at night and you'd be like, hey, want to talk? And then I would talk about my day. It wasn't like why didn't you respond to my text message? Like, what were you doing all day? Like this. It was like you didn't distrust me before we even started a relationship.
Yeah, my assumption was that you were busy.
When we were first dating, actually, I had back-to-back trips for 3 months.
Yeah.
I was in Mexico, Miami, Bahamas. I was on bachelorette trips, like,
Yeah.
back-to-back. And you weren't, like, blowing up my phone. You'd be like, good morning, have a good day, whatever it is. Text me pics, like, enjoy yourself. I'd go to the beach, leave my phone, whatever. I'd come back to, like, you sending, OMG, had the best Chipotle bowl ever.
Well, yeah, those are important.
Yeah, and it was never like, oh, where are you? What are you doing? Why aren't you texting
Well, my
me?
assumption was you were at the beach.
Right, but that's not a normal assumption for a lot of relationships
That's
for
fair,
some reason.
yeah.
I think a lot of people these days don't let themselves be goofy. And I am a very goofy person. I wanted to be with somebody that's silly, that can be themselves, be intellectual when the time comes, but also be a silly goose. And a lot of that is personality. I wanted to be with somebody with a personality.
It sounds like you wanted to be with someone that was more optimistic in life.
I wanted somebody I could bounce off of.
That's fair. What would you tell a person if they said, hey, Kiran, what should I change about myself or do differently in order to find my person?
I think you have to be comfortable with yourself before you're ready to find your person. You have to know what you love doing, what you hate doing, what about a person irks you, what about a person doesn't irk you. And just understand yourself and your flow and your patterns. And not every pattern and flow works with another person.
Yes.
So you have to be able to bend. You have to be able to make sacrifices without sacrificing who you are as a person.
So the biggest thing is before you find someone else, you got to find yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest challenge. People think the stoic cowboy man's man is the only way a guy can operate.
And I, as a woman, beg to differ. I think that most women want the goofy guy.
But that's irrelevant to the point. It's whatever makes you happier, right? I did not enjoy being the cool guy. I tried my best to be a cool guy, and then when the cameras were off or whatever, I was exhausted. I'm like, wow, this is stressful. But now when I'm being just like the goofy making jokes guy and not caring what anyone thinks, at the end of the day, I come home and I'm like, I'm happy. I was able to be me.
Yeah, being yourself. Yeah.
How do you find yourself? That's the next question.
How do you find yourself is hard.
Yeah.
I do think part of me finding myself was being alone for those 2 years, traveling, spending time with people I loved, finding out what I liked doing by myself. I was going to the movies by myself. I was taking myself on dates, really enjoying my own company. And that's when I learned who I was.
Leading up to you, I got my master's, I got further in my career, and then I found something to focus on. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of awakened my desire to learn. And I was like, hey, I should probably learn about myself. Mm-hmm. And then I started being by myself more, figuring out what's fun stuff for me. Once you start doing that on your own, you know you're in the right spot if you can still do that when you're with your person. Because Karen can do that now. And I'm like, all right, sure, just let me go to bed. Yeah. I think that's the important, right?
And that's the freedom.
Yes.
That's the freedom.
You have to first find yourself, find your freedom, and then meet someone that respects it. Freedom is the big point in a healthy relationship.
Right. I think also trust is an aspect of it.
Yeah, remember when one time you were out, and you were like, yeah, I'll be home by midnight, and it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, okay, where is she? I'm just worried where you are.
I was even with one of my friends, and they were like, oh my God, does he think you're cheating on him? And I was like, no, he's probably just pissed that he had to wake up and ask where I was. And then I went home, and you were knocked out.
Yeah, if you just texted me, hey, I'm running late, all right, I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, and it's worry, it's care. It's not like what do you do? It's not control. I don't want to be controlled.
Control versus care.
Yeah. A relationship is work, yes. But the relationship with yourself, I feel, is harder work. It's really hard to love yourself. Like, society doesn't make it easy.
If you can't marry yourself, no one can.
Yeah. You can't expect somebody to be happy with you if you're not happy with yourself.
Yeah. I was pretty happy.
And that doesn't mean you are a bad person. It means that you're too hard on yourself. You need to love the things about you that make you you.
Do some exploring. Go on a hike.
Loving yourself is hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy to say that I fell in love with myself, but there was a time where I stopped being so hard on myself. And I realized that I'm in a different position than a lot of people, and I could be in a much worse position than a lot of people. But because of everything that I've gone through and everything that I've overcome, even before the cancer, I stopped being so hard on myself. I realized that there are so many people who love me. There are so many people who care about me. I have to let them do that, and I have to believe there's a reason why they do.
Yeah.
And that's when I started being softer on myself. I deserve it. And I think feeling like you deserve it is a big piece of why people don't love themselves. Because they don't feel they deserve. They don't feel worthy. You're put under such a microscope, and then the weight of the world is on you, and you have to give yourself grace. Treat yourself the way you treat other people. Because if you were as mean to other people as you are to yourself, you would have nobody. And I have to remember to be kind to myself the same way I'm kind to other people. I have to give myself as much grace as I give other people.
We like downplay our accomplishments and overplay our failures.
Yeah.
I think you also got to take a step back and ask yourself, what are things that I have accomplished? Otherwise you're going to beat yourself up all the time.
Yeah. I think if you sit and you're like, would I speak to somebody I love this way? The way that you're speaking to yourself, that puts it into perspective. Like, yep. I am being too mean to myself. Even when, like, I do something and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done it better. I would say to somebody that they did a phenomenal job. Well, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed.
I hope you enjoyed.